Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt, here to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. And one of those blind spots could be if you're with a group of friends and you're talking about changing some government policy or law, or getting mad about some politician, and you better watch what you say because you don't want somebody to turn you in for engaging in insurrection. But I'll come back to that. First, I want to talk about legacy.
And now, it's time for the Talk Law Radio Legacy Spotlight. What's your legacy? Sponsored by Marquardt Law Firm.
You know that Marquardt Law Firm sponsors Talk Law Radio, and attorneys at Marquardt Law Firm focus on business and estate law, including last wills, living trusts, and tax-protected inheritance plans. Also, new businesses and old businesses which might have issues with corporations, contracts, LLCs, limited partnerships, and we can help those who are facing problems from lack of planning, like in county court, district court, and probate court. And the central idea behind doing a last will or living trust or tax-protected inheritance plan is to leave your legacy. And so today I want to talk about planning your goodbye. Planning for death can be scary. How do you want your loved ones to celebrate your life? Do you want to use a traditional funeral? Do you want to use a celebration of life ceremony? Or do you want to have a memorial service? I had a friend and client one time who said that he wanted a real traditional wake. Do you know what that means? What a wake was? Well, he said the Irish would do a wake where they would have the body lying down. I don't know. I imagine the body in a coffin, but maybe back in the olden days they just laid them on a table or something. But they lied there before going into their burial spot because you wanted to wait and see if they would wake up. That's why they called it a wake. You would stand around, grieve, talk to your friends and family members, drink Jameson or whatever, and wait for the person to wake up if they could. Well, people still do that. Some people call that the memorial service. Some people call it the rosary service. I guess it depends on your religion. But that's aside from the burial. So then you go to the burial after that. You go to the graveside. Or you just go to a mess hall and you have a celebration of life. It can be held anywhere, at the church or at the funeral home or at the honky-tonk. No special requirements. You can design all of this. Everything that you write down about what you want to have happen after you die makes things easier for your loved ones. Because every decision you make is a decision they don't have to make. And that goes for funeral, celebration of life, or memorial service. I have had some people tell me they want nothing at all. Well, if you don't write that down and nobody knows that you wanted nothing, they might have something and you might be frustrated. You could write a letter. Sometimes I call these legacy letters or ethical wills. Some people call them that. When you write down what are the ethical things that you want to pass down to your loved ones, your friends and family members. What do you hope that they're going to achieve by receiving an inheritance from you? Or you could make a video like I do on YouTube about the same stuff. Maybe you just want to talk from the heart about what you love about your family, what you hope they remember you by. What do you want done with your body at death? So there's a special Texas form that you can sign to make sure that your wishes are carried out, whether you want to be buried or cremated. I was talking to a tattoo artist yesterday. He said that some people will come to him with cremated remains, and they ask him to mix those cremated ashes into the tattoo ink, and then he can tattoo something on your body, and you'll have bits of cremated remains embedded into your skin. How will this be paid for along with other end-of-death expenses? You can have a pre-need funeral plan, which is kind of like life insurance. It's just designated already to what it's going to cover. Or you could have traditional life insurance policies, or you could have a savings account, or you could put cash in a safe deposit box. I saw that one time. One of my clients said he had to go down to the bank because he thought the will was in the safe deposit box, and one of the officers of the probate court had to go down to the bank too, because there's a special law that says you can only look in the box to see if there's a will. If you find the will, then you can take it out so that you can submit it to the probate court. But if you find anything else, you just have to close it up, wait for probate so that you can get access to the box. Another way to get access to the box is just to put your trusted individual agent's name on the box. So that most banks treat the safe deposit box just like a checking or savings account, and the owners of the box are allowed to open it. Well, if you have a key but you're not an owner on the account, they still won't let you open the box. So you have to have both. But if you put somebody's name on the account and you give them a key, well, then they can open it while you're still alive, even if you don't want them to. So it's a risk. You have to have a trusted person do that. Other important planning documents: medical power of attorney, directive to physicians. So those are some other legal things that might help make things easier after you pass away, if you want to make things easy for your family members. Today, I've been talking about defining insurrection, because the Supreme Court is deliberating right now about whether to uphold the Colorado Supreme Court's decision finding that President Trump engaged in insurrection and should be removed from the Colorado primary ballot because he violated Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which disqualifies him from running for office because of engaging in insurrection. I think this all goes back to the impeachment by the House of Representatives, but I'd like to hear what you have to say. You can always comment, even if it's after the live show. Just post a comment to the podcast or the Facebook post or the LinkedIn post or the X Twitter post or the YouTube post. I want to hear what you have to say, because I want to have an engaging relationship with you. One of my listeners chimed in on whether President Trump engaged in insurrection by saying, "Of course not. After 7 years of trying to persecute Trump, seems the people stealing our tax dollars should give up. They are spending a lot of our tax revenue chasing down a businessman that seems to want what is right for America. I never cared for Trump, but even I can see he opened a can of worms the corrupt political elites wished was not opened. personally, I don't think we should have a bunch of politicians making money to argue about matters that never get resolved. This is somebody who seems to be really upset. I'm glad that you chimed in. Thank you for letting me know. I don't mean to make fun of your upsettedness. I'm glad that you did. I found something else interesting. Well, there's other lawsuits all around the country being filed to take President Trump's name off of the ballot. On October 2nd, the United States Supreme Court denied review of a pro se lawsuit. Pro se means that they didn't have an attorney, filed by John Anthony Castro against Donald Trump concerning whether Castro, apparently a Republican presidential candidate, has standing to challenge Trump's candidacy in federal court under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. The federal district court ruled that federal courts do not have jurisdiction over such claims, which in federal court require plaintiffs to demonstrate that they personally have a particularized interest, which is called standing in the case. The court did not reach the merits of Section 3, whether January 6, 2021 constituted an insurrection or whether Donald Trump engaged in it. Castro filed his petition for Supreme Court review before a briefing was completed in his pending appeal to the United States Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit, which again solely concerns whether he has Article 3 standing. So, what do you think? Do you think that we're defining insurrection correctly? Would you define it a different way? And who should decide? Here's what the here's what the Secretary of State for Colorado, Griswold, said about the review by the United States Supreme Court. Griswold said, quote, "The Colorado Supreme Court was right when they ruled Donald Trump is ineligible to appear on the Colorado ballot after engaging in insurrection. This is an unprecedented case, but the law is clear. I urge the justices of the United States Supreme Court to act with the urgency that this case demands and treat Donald Trump as they would any other American. Our laws should be applied equally," end quote. Well, that's one of the questions, is whether the president is included in the definition of Article 3 of the 14th Amendment. And she doesn't get to decide that, so the justices of the United States Supreme Court will. Thank you for joining me on Talk Law Radio. I enjoyed the conversation. Thank you for texting. Thank you for giving me your comments ahead of time. I appreciate it. It helps me to get an overview of what you're thinking. Stay tuned for next week. Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law Radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law: don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the 10 Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.